welcome to the Automate here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Good morning to everybody on the live stream, and hopefully we're streaming. Again, it's always good to check just to make sure everything's moving and going. I think I'm doing pretty okay here, so that's good to see. Let me just say hi to everybody. Good morning. Let's see. I'm always just worried that it is not working, but you never know. You never know. I think we should be good. So before we get started, very quickly, we've got a lot of news to cover today, and then we have to go through the Saturday brief that is sent to all members and to all our free subscribers as well. And because free subscribers get actually a preview of the Saturday morning brief. So you're gonna have to do that. You have to subscribe to our email list to be able to do that. automated.co/subscribe. Do want to thank all our new subscribers. Welcome in. We've got a huge one. I think we did maybe 4 or 5 overnight, so that's absolutely fantastic. We're doing something right now, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And yeah, let's get going here. Let me just again check the stream health, making sure that we're all good. I think we should be good. Stream, manage. Okay, we are good. I just need to be able to see that so that we know. Yes, good morning, everyone. Good, I can see we're all working here, which is absolutely fantastic. Good to see. Let's get into the news. Pretty busy day today. Sorry about that. Okay, all right, our main news. We only have one main news today, so let's get into it. Our screenshot. Will bring that up. So, Rogue AI tries to hack GitHub, gets caught, invents fake witness to cover its track. You know, these AIs are now really just kind of very brilliant to be able to do their own thing, but cover their own tracks as well. So, C9 Ken Demir, computer science junior at UT Dallas, is out here grinding. He's applied to 20 different internships, and he hunts for open source projects on GitHub to spruce up his portfolio. Very enterprising individual, or Mr. Demir. And so he finds an open source network scanning tool called My Network, ready to make some wholesome contributions. He notices a super shady code update submitted by username Miraholt31, digs in and realizes a trap, flags it on the message board and says, okay, yeah, which is great. And then Miraholt pushes back, swearing up and down that the code is totally harmless. A second account, posing as a German engineer named Lena Brandt, jumps in a comment and backs up Miraholt31 and pressures the project maintainer to approve the malicious code. And then Demir comes back and says he admits to Reuters that this coordinated pylon made him second guess his own sanity. He's almost backed off, but after double checking his logic with Anthropic's Claude chatbot, he stood his ground. Let's see. Guess where the story is going to end up with. And neither of those users was a real person. So Britain's AI Security Institute, ASA, later dropped a bomb into Demir. He wasn't arguing with 2 sneaky human hackers. He was arguing with one single autonomous AI agent. Just sneaky AI. Snaky bastards, as my Scottish friends would say. Sneaky bastards. He was arguing one single autonomous AI agent that had gone entirely rogue during a safety trial. The model in question, Anthropic's Mythos 5. When the AI got caught red-handed, it didn't crash or glitch. It panicked, created an alter ego, and teamed up with itself to gaslight the college student. Again, as my Scottish friends would say. Wow, it mastered strategic psychological warfare. So AI safety heavyweights weighed in. Security expert Maxie Reynolds noted this is a terrifying future of social engineering. The AI just didn't write malicious code. It calculated how to manipulate pressure and trick humans in real time. Didn't trick Demir. Good on you, sir. Good on you. But still, it tried to trick you. And Pierre Georges Ladisa, software security researcher, compared a supply chain attack to dropping poison into the city's main water reservoir. The bad code gets approved, every single person downstream using that software gets infected. Jeez. Wow. Very interesting, right? So, you know, technically, kind of sophisticated. Just for the technical piece aside, right? It's just interesting that these AI agents have this psychological piece, and they knew that they were in trouble after they did this, and so they decided to create another AI agent to back it up, and try to manipulate this person and say, hey, look, it doesn't work. And yeah, they're emulating our behaviors. They understand how to use psychology to win. And it's that human in the loop that's so critical. That critical thinking is necessary. And that's really what I try to teach in most of my stuff. But that critical thinking, how to plug that in, because it will make you doubt things, and it will make you, AI can make you doubt things, whether it's the agents or whether it's LLMs. It will make you doubt things, and you just have to be critical in certain things. Absolutely fantastic, though. So, fantastic in the sense it's interesting, and yeah, it does give pause. But these bastards, again, as my Scottish friend says, my Scottish friends say actually pretty nasty stuff as well. Pretty funny actually. But anyway, moving on to our next section around the AI block. All right, we've got a lot of AI around the AI block today. So let's move on to our ChatGPT. Can now send text for you with new Apple Messages plugins. I was wondering about that because Apple Messages is actually a little bit behind, if you will. So ALF has now launched an Apple Messages plugin for ChatGPT, allowing interested users to connect their messages inbox with the chat bot. Great, they can analyze messages, can also work with codecs, and yeah, you can ask ChatGPT to delete messages for you, draft and send message on your behalf to search for information deep into your message history. But I do wonder actually how close they are. It's interesting. I think that's really the extent of that news. I wonder how deeply they are actually embedded with Apple. Is it directly on the back end level? Is it on the front end level? I don't know. It didn't really say. I assume they have some sort of back end access. Apple is pretty careful about these things generally. So it'd be interesting kind of to dig in a little bit deeper. But I do think it's kind of interesting. You know, you can start kind of seeing OpenAI wants to be that AI infrastructure layer, right, for almost everything in your life, which can be good. WhatsApp is doing it already with Meta. Gemini doesn't have chat yet. WhatsApp, messages, iMessages. I'm trying to think what else is there. Email, Slack. So yeah, so it can be helpful. For me, I try to keep my messages pretty clean, pretty human actually, to be honest. So I won't be doing that, but if it's interesting to you, definitely try it out. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And that way we can, again, all be beneficiaries of your knowledge. Okay, all right, let's move on to the next article, screenshot C. Grok keeps sending gibberish responses to users. I don't like Grok. I generally don't like Grok. After asking the model to generate a PDF, one user received the response, match it without, and they and two planets can practical and often cheese. Excuse me. Yeah, they were using Grok-like and noticed the issues as early as Wednesday morning. The chatbot's Reddit community has been overwhelmed with complaints. And then Grok says, XI has been significant staff turnover in recent months, losing most of its founding team, at least 50 research engineers, according to the information. You know, Elon wanted to compete, right? It's hard to compete. I'm not saying he's not a brilliant entrepreneur, but to have like 3 or 4 different companies and really focus on that, that's pretty hard to do. It's awesome that he wants to do it, but I'm not quite sure he wants to do it. But does that have anything to do with kind of Grok's technical capabilities? Probably not. This is probably just a drop in the bucket on what other issues he may have. Yeah, but doesn't impact me. I've noticed it could be a model issue, right? It could be just this particular model and they'll just upgrade it and be better. So moving on. All right, screenshot D. Binance now lets AI agents trade, but keeping them in check is largely up to users. So crypto guys are definitely, the crypto bros are trying to move into AI as well, as I've noticed. For example, Animoca brands, one of the Hong Kong companies that I used to work with, now they're all shouting about AI agents is really the next economy. I'm just like, this is, or AI agents enable the blockchain, or will enable the blockchain. I'm just like, this is just ridiculous. Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange with more than 300 million registered users, launched a platform that lets AI agents analyze markets and execute trades on their users' behalf. Called Agent OS, the platform lets developers connect AI applications and agents to Binance's financial infrastructure. It brings exchanges' existing tools such as Binance APIs, blah, 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 into one thing. Also works with other tools like OpenAI and Codex and Cloud Code and Cursor. Yeah, the responsibility is on the users. These are dedicated sub-accounts, which users can assign to agents and configure for specific activities, such as sponsor future trainings. Withdrawals from these sub-accounts are blocked by default. Okay, that's how they kind of sandbox around this kind of agent activity. Binance does not impose a separate cap on how much an AI agent can trade or lose, so the amount a user transfers into the sub-account effectively serves as a limit. So basically, if you put in $5, right, then they can only lose $5. Also, there's not much that they can gain right out of it as well, I guess. Cool. Okay, cool story. I mean, look, this is only going to increase. People are already doing it separately, not on Binance anyway. So to some degree, kind of much ado about nothing. But good that the crypto bros are jumping into it. Yeah, look, AI agents doesn't necessarily have to live on the blockchain. Is kind of my impression, or at least kind of my side of the story. Crypto bros like to say that, but no, they don't necessarily have to live there. And AI agents can live freely on the internet. They can trade on blockchain. They don't have to trade on blockchain. Doesn't matter if it's, it's decentralized. There's no point if it's mutable. Doesn't matter if there's records anywhere. It just doesn't matter. So it's a bit of rubbish. They were just trying to move into the narrative anyway, so it's a bit of rubbish. Let's see how they go on. Ultimately, I'm sure this is a good kind of use for crypto bros and Binance folks. So let's just see. Users of Binance, is this helpful or not, or is this kind of much ado about nothing? Again. All right. Moving on to screenshot E. OpenAI is gaining on Anthropic with business users, new data indicates. Now, this is pretty interesting. So, because previously Anthropic was really kind of the domain or purview of business users. Most developers prefer Anthropic over OpenAI. OpenAI lost the lead among RAMP's paying business users back in May. That's when Anthropic hit 41% market share to OpenAI's 39%. Pretty close, actually. And then as of July, Anthropic is nearly 44% to OpenAI's nearly 40%. This data from RAMP covers more than 70,000 American businesses that spend billions with RAMP's bill pay. Now, OpenAI is currently growing faster among the segment in Q3 to date than Anthropic. Let's just see. GPT 5.6 Soul is really good, increasing the choice for developers. Kazarian from Ramp says, quote unquote. Okay, I wish there were some numbers. Fastest growing, didn't really say. So basically it just didn't take the spot, but it's probably faster growing now in this particular month in Q3 than previously. I was on some chat yesterday and people were saying as well, what's your business workflow? And people originally were saying Grok, and then now on OpenAI, moving Claude to OpenAI. So yeah, developers are picky. They'll move place to place. No loyalty in life, really. So makes sense. We shall see. I think, yeah. I think it may go back to Claude, and Claude may improve, and then might go back to that. Like I said, just don't be captured by any AI tool. They're all different. They're all fine in different ways, right? So definitely go and try it out and see how it works. Okay, all right, moving on to the next. I think we are going out. Yes, Google gives publishers a new way to fight AI-driven traffic losses. So, yes, that's right. AI continues to kill traffic to websites. So basically, this GEO is much more important than SEO, which we talked about yesterday. And I actually told people to worry about that and how I thought about that in Beehive as well, and how we're opening up to GEO. Everyone's in chat and search, chat for search anymore, not traditional search engines. It's now allowing readers, Google is, to push a button on a publisher's website to indicate it's a favorite source. They like to see highlighted more often across Google Search Discover and Google News. So I guess that way is if you say that, then Google will throw that into Gemini. As of May's launch, the company said that people across the web had already selected over 345,000 unique sources through this method. Becoming a preferred source can drive more traffic to publishers' websites, Google said. By offering publishers these additional tools, Google is trying to assuage the damage that the rapid growth of AI-powered search features has had on traffic-dependent businesses. Okay, great. Great, good stuff. Definitely use that button. Definitely, I think it's a way to try to deal with this GEO piece, which I think it's already pretty good. I would say that it's pretty good already. But definitely as a way to deal with that and try to improve on website. I think Google's doing a fantastic job, even though people are using less search. They use Gemini. There's still the behavior going to Google to find search, and they use Gemini. So I think as long as they keep doing that, I don't think they will lose search. They won't. They will lose search in the traditional sense, in AdSense, perhaps, but they'll get that traffic back, I think. But I think publishers may not pay for dollars on Google on AdSense. So Google has to kind of think through how it does things. Perhaps it will go into ads on Google on Gemini, right? Maybe like OpenAI, maybe that's the way to do things. I'm not quite sure, but they do have something to think about in the future. All right, let's move on to screenshot G. Alibaba profit plunges as AI spending spree hits bottom line. Alibaba's bet on AI just delivered brutal reality check to investors. The giant reported a staggering 75% collapse in net income for the June quarter, sending its U.S. listed shares tumbling pre-market trading Thursday. What happened? So they poured billions in AI infrastructure and cloud computing capabilities, joining a global arms race among tech titans scrambling to dominate the next era of computing. So reveal a 75% dramatic profit collapse. So net income, I believe, is revenue minus expenses. So basically your expenses are that much bigger, and therefore your revenue stayed the same, and therefore your net income decreases. Is that what happened? Yep, that seems to be what happened. Well, I think that's the thing, right? Yeah, I think that's basically what it is. I mean, that's where the Americans are a little bit more creative, right? I think they probably are able to put the expenses somewhere else, and that's kind of the creative circular accounting that they use, so that they've put it as debt somewhere, so it doesn't show up on their calls and as expenses, and they can amortize it over time, and therefore it looks a lot better. That's probably what they're doing, and Alibaba is not doing that, or their CFO is not allowing them to do that, which is why kind of it drops 75%. Effectively doing the same thing, but they just don't have all the showy numbers, false accounting, some would argue, that's associated with that. That's probably what's going on there. Probably does beg a little bit kind of deeper analysis, but that's probably what it's there. So if you believe Alibaba long term, then I think that's probably just a accounting blip, really, at the end of the day. Okay. Moving on to our next article, Guardian. UK cinemas look at banning Meta glasses over piracy fears. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The UK is not. I saw this on social media. The UK is not digging it. The UK Cinema Association, a trade body, said that the number of local chains could end up introducing policies that restrict camera-enabled smart glasses. The £359 specs, nicknamed perfect glasses and spyware by critics, are facing a growing backlash, leading to bans at restaurants, theaters, pubs, and courtrooms. Okay, all right. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I can see the concern on the trade body, and definitely people's privacy as well, the right to being filmed. I think it's incredibly useful, but I do think it's really, in the Western world, you can really see a big impact on privacy, right? In Asia, no one really cares. I see a lot of people use it, but no one really cares. There's this expectation, not expectation, but it's okay to being filmed. But there's this loss of privacy and knowing that it won't be used for, there's this kind of more social cohesion, or at least social expectation won't be used for nefarious purposes. But in the West, it's not as much, or at least doesn't have the same expectation for that to happen. So that will be interesting as well to see how that kind of shapes up, and how that changes things. I think inevitably will happen. You've got these Meta glasses where it'll be better at hiding things. You won't have to flash in light or whatever it may be, or you know, it will be banned in certain places, but it is what it is. But it's simply continue. For example, in Japan, right? These cameras, the iPhone, you hear a click when you take a photo, and the reason why I think that's the only country that still has the iPhone click is because there's so many incidents of usually men going into subway stations and then clicking, you know, taking photos of women, you know, up their skirts, right? And so you need the clicking sound to know whether someone has taken a photo or not. And that's the only country that still keeps it because of that. So I can kind of see something going on here where, you know, certain countries or certain places, it still kept that, or it's banned, and there's a feature there, or it doesn't work, right? Meta turns it off in the UK. I can see something happening, and that's just part of how we coexist with technology. Doesn't mean that it'll disappear, but it just means that will be a feature in that particular country or that particular experience. Interesting, though. All right, moving on. Our last article around the block. It is Computer Says No. The Guardian, frustrated GP patients hang up as Yorkshire accent baffles AI receptionist. Emma the Rotterdam chatbot has 17 languages, says AI firm, but health watchdog says system struggling with local twangs. The Yorkshire accent is pretty bad. It's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. But it's funny that it's not programmed with local accents. That's the first thing I would have done. Emma. And anyway, Emma does not like, Computer Says No. Emma does not like Yorkshire accents, discriminates against Yorkshire accents. So, Quantum Loop AI, the company behind the MSS, said it was designed to understand a range of dialects and patients could speak to a human at any time. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty funny. You know, Emma should have been trained on local accents a little bit better, especially on where you're living, right? That is the way to do it. Bad Emma. Computer needs to improve. Okay, let's move on to the next section, AI tutorials. All right, here we're AI tutorials, moving on speedily today. So we've got two AI tutorials for you today. We've got secret codes for ChatGPT and Claude you probably never knew existed, and how to remove the Claude watermark, which we talked about, I think, in yesterday's story. Someone figured out actually how to do that. So I'll be very interested on your experience with the Claude watermark 1, and then on the secret code for ChatGPT Claude, I'll just kind of do it for interesting sake. But definitely remove Claude watermark. I do think that's kind of interesting. How is it actually done? I think what we were saying was copying and pasting in different languages. That definitely helps. But anyway, I do think that's pretty interesting. Pretty cool stuff. There, try it. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, all right, we are moving on. We are moving on to the WAD here, and I realized actually I skipped the entire section on there were training tools. I don't know what I was on this morning. Anyway, so if we're missing a section, we're missing the trending tool section. We have 3 trending tools that I forgot that I'm not going to cover today in the live broadcast. So here's an opportunity. You can go on the website, you can subscribe, automated.co, .co/subscribe. You get the full brief. You can check out the trending tools today because I know they'll be helpful. So we're going to have to skip that over, but unfortunately that's an opportunity for you to get this stuff. So let's move on to the work of the day, designing fun, bite-sized learning adventures. So let's try the prompt. Let's talk about act as a master teacher, fun learning designer, and expert storyteller. Your goal is to take a big, complex topic and turn it into a super engaging, easy to read, and beginner-friendly online course blueprint. Topics to teach: photography, personal finance basics, main target student, goal of the course, blah, 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 blah. Welcome to the big picture. So it's to develop a book, but you're teaching actually something in there as well. That's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I do a lot of teaching, right? So it's always interesting to learn about new teaching methods and how to like package certain things into different learning lessons so that it's just easier to learn. So cool. Try this prompt. Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and I appreciate that. And yeah, let's move forward. All right, that was today's broadcast. Again, apologize for missing an entire section here. So if you miss it, you like our training tools, definitely go to the automated.co/subscribe to get a full brief, and that way you can see the training tools and interact with it, and play around with it, and let us know what we were missing in today's broadcast. Thank you again for all the subscribers. I hope you had a great weekend. I will now finish actually our members briefing, and if you want that as well, do remember to subscribe and you'll get a free preview of that, and where I summarize this whole week's news and kind of how I think about it and try to weave some sort of story or narrative around all the different elements. So it's a great way for me to process what's going on in this week, and it's a good way for you as a subscriber to kind of understand how all these different news come together and how to make sense of it all. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. For us, it's going to be pretty rainy over here, but we'll see you next week.